In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to make a stackable guide using an Exoplan guide. So, first of all, we're going to hide the models that we don't need. Open the outliner window and M to move. So this one we don't need at the moment. M, new, hidden. OK. Go and open up your model enabling the arrow and also the screen. It looks like a monitor, and we're going to click on that one to hide it more permanently. Then this one here we don't need either, so M to move into the hidden collection. This is the one that we need at the moment. Okay, so from here we're going to go to the splint module. N on the keyboard, splint, navigate down to the occlusal cutter over here. So by closing this, all I need to do is hover over the folder, control left click. That closes all of the folders, leaves the one open that you need. So before I engage in this, I will just bring up like a pen, the annotation, and in the tools settings I will then put this onto, I'll just put this onto surface just to explain. So here what we want to do is we want to cut this along like a border like that, and this needs to have enough material as well. So the cutting needs to be done somewhere like this. Okay. So unfortunately this one doesn't have much material on this side, and when you're planning it is essential because you can imagine how thin that part will be unless we add some material after this. I don't know. So here I'm just going to mark it out just for the sake of the video, and then we're going to make our cutting tool in this position. Alright, I'm going to select this one and then click on select model for plane, which actually just hides all the other objects. Shift right click to place my cursor, and I'm going to click on draw line occlusal plane. We don't have an occlusal plane, we've got a guide, so it makes it a bit different. In transparent mode here we can toggle on and off. It's actually given me two vertices. If I use the G key, it will stick to my surface because the magnet tool is on. Get out of here. So I'm going to go E key to, and then left click to extrude it. So E means extrude, and we're going to go all the way sort of where we want it to be. So E, left click, E, E to extrude, left click, E to extrude. Okay, so when we get to the other side, we're going to then make a occlusal plane. So this is going to give me all these vertices on the inside. Okay, now our magnet tool is on, proportional editing is off, and in transparent mode it makes it a little bit easier. So if I go G, I can move these down. So here I don't actually need G, I can just move them down because my tweak is on, which means you can tweak these vertices. Because the magnet tool is on, it sticks on the surface of the underneath. So here I'll just manipulate these quickly. Okay, something like that. Actually, we could have come much further down. It would probably make our life easier if we come further down. From here, we're going to make a cutting tool. This cutting tool is going to expand this object, as you can see. In edit mode, it is a plane with a lot of subdivisions. So you see all these vertices. And this we need to manipulate like a piece of material. think of it as a sock or curtain or whatever you can imagine. So this is completely, we can manipulate this. Note that the proportional editing is on, and using the G key we can grab, and the mouse wheel is a proportional editing. Now here we need to bring it up a little bit. You can quite easily use a GZ key, so GZ, which brings it up into the Z direction. Notice also on the left hand side the tweak is on, like I've explained earlier, which means I don't really need to use the G key. I can just grab the vertices up. Now this does take a little bit of practice, so if you haven't used CAD before or you haven't used Blender before, it can be a little bit tricky, but you'll get the hang of it very quickly. So left click and then grab G key. I always use a G key, and then just manipulate these. So here I want to try and visualize how this cut is going to end up. So I'm using the GZ key now. Spend a little bit of time on this because you cannot go back. So, once you've made the cut, you committed to it, and always save your files, because if you do make a mistake, you can go back and, start off at a strategic position. Okay, so this, you can see this needs to come down, so I'm going to select GZ and bring that up a little bit over here, using the mouse wheel and then manipulating these vertices. Now I'll show you, you can also use a magnet tool, but you've got to be careful. So the magnet tool, what it does, it's going to just stick the vertex onto the surface. It can help, but you've got to be careful not that you're going to corrupt the mesh structure. But the magnet tool can definitely help you. Now, as previously said, this is a cutter, but when you click on cut layer, it will not cut the layer. So if I go cut layer, it's going to make it into an object which is solidified by X amount of millimeters. It's a cutting tool, but it hasn't cut it. So if I hide it, it hasn't cut it. So the problem is that we're using the splint module for this one over here, which means we have to just name it. Okay, so we're going to name it layer. So if you go into finishing over here, finishing, if you call this layer and then you click on cut layer, it will cut the layer. So let's just see. Okay, so now if I select it and use the H key, it has indeed cut my layer, and this is exactly what I want to see. Okay, so I'm not going to discard this tool in case I need it at some later stage. So I'm not going to go delete object. I'll just put it into my hidden folder, M to move, and go hidden folder. And I'm going to get rid of the annotation like that. Okay, so here we've got it split up, and we're going to now make this into stackable. So if I go H to hide, we've got one, and we've got the other. So this may take a little bit of time and practice for you to wrap your head around how to split this. But if you think of it as a piece of material that you can manipulate, then it makes it much easier working with proportional editing and the magnet tool. Next, let's make this into a stackable. Go to your guide module. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select, this is my primary layer. And this is going to be my secondary layer, like that. So these are color coded and they are already in their collections. Let's get a dynamic attachment. We're going to use the clip, and we can see the clip is upside down. Now you've got to select the top of it, and we're going to rotate it. then look at it from the top, and we're going to now think of this as a lid which you want to put on and off of this one. So if I hide it and unhide it, Alt H, we're going to now make sure that we can clip it. Using the G key, we're going to manipulate it, and the R key to rotate it. Now, here's a kicker. You're going to have to select places where you can connect this to. Okay, so it's no good connecting this up here. Okay, so you're going to have to look for a place to connect these up with. Okay, so if I connect this one up here, it's difficult because we've got this one. So maybe we can use this part over here. Maybe we can use this part over here, and maybe we can sort of get into this part over here. So if we have, no, maybe we can use 4 attachments, 1, 2, we could come in over here and over here. Okay, so let's try and do that. I'll leave the annotation marks there, select this over here. Now you have to look at this, so from the front view using the R key and rotating it, we want to sort of lift it up and down into this direction, something like that. Okay, so you've got to be careful how you're going to do this, because we cannot change this later. It's going to be fixed. If it does that, the magnet tools are on. We don't want that on. Okay, so here I'm going to sort of set the scene for my first one. We're going to bring this back. I'm going to put this to local, then it's in the X and Y and Z is in the local coordination. I'm going to rotate this a bit, and hopefully I can stick it on over here. So I'll bring this out a little bit and up a bit like this, so that we can attach it over there and over here. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to copy this one. When you click on copy, it locks everything into position. Okay, so we are ready to place all of the rest of them. Now it's time to place these around where we need them to go. Always using the G key and the R key and the transform widget, we're going to place them in the correct position. Then when you've got it in the correct position, click on copy selected, which will then make another copy. Note that the rotation of the only the Z direction we can rotate, not the X and Y, so that we can keep them parallel. So just move them up accordingly and place them into the correct position. So here what I'm doing is I'm putting this one, but as I'm looking at this, I'm seeing that I'm a little bit too spaced out. So there's not enough space really to put 2 attachments next to each other. You can see that over there. So I think it's best to place that one a little bit further distally. That gives us more space to put 2 attachments down. So you can change your mind at this stage, but once you lock them in position in the next step, you can't change it. So here I'm making another copy, rotating it to where I want it to be, move it up a little bit, and then leave it in that position. Always save your files so that you can come back to your file in case you make a mistake. Okay, let us go to the next step. Now it's time to lock these attachments into position. After that, you cannot change them. This procedure makes 3 copies of the tops of these attachments. So as I'm hiding them, you'll notice that we've got 3 different ones and they're all color coded. In this example, we're only going to use the blue one because we've only got a primary and we've got a secondary stacking layer. Now, how do we connect these up? Quite easy. Select your layer and then click on Design Connection Point. So this ring you can grab and manipulate. So then you're going to select closest attachment and connect. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate this again. Place your cursor, click on Design the Connection Point. Here we can see that it is a little bit elongated. Go Tab, Edit Mode, G to grab, and we can manipulate these. It's like a string of pearls, easily to manipulate. Select your attachment and connect it. One more time. Shift right click, make sure your layer is selected, and then we're going to make a connection point over here where the cursor is, and then select your closest one. Closest one, and then select closest attachment and connect, which will connect the two up. Now, in this example, we can't make a connection point because it intersects. So here we're going to use a different procedure. Select your attachment, and then you're going to click on Extrude Front, and that will bring it towards the front. So don't extrude it all the way through, otherwise it's going to affect your fitting surface. Here I'm going to do the same thing. I'm actually going to go one step further, edit the front. I'm going to use the R key to rotate the front section. Then we're going to tab to get out of that section. And notice that these two attachments are not unified yet. So select them, select your layer last, and then put it into the primary collection, which will then automatically unify those two. So this one is finished. This primary one is completely finished. Let's move on to the secondary. Alright, next we're going to select it, shift right click, design connection point. I can tab, I can change this as well. We're on tweak, so it means we can tweak these vertices if we want to. Tab to get out of it, select my connection point and attach it. Okay. So the procedure is the same, and here we're hiding them, and these over here are just the cutters. We don't need to use them at this stage. They are for cutting a layer, which we don't have to do. Lastly, you may want to make a model. Look for your hidden folder. Is over here. You've got your scan here, but your scan is attached to all of those sleeves. We don't want that. Model Designer, go to Separate Objects like that. All we want is this one here. I'm just going to move this into the collection and hide the other ones. Okay, so we want to make a model. If we look at it from the front side, go to the Model Designer and then click on the model, the base. Let's make an upper base with border.